What's up, guys? We are back at it. We've got a cool video. It's actually we're gonna do a react to a Willy OAM video. If you have not subscribed to this guy's channel, you definitely should. He's the man. He does a lot of cool conflict breakdowns and different situations in the Ukraine conflict. Check him out. But real quick, before that, I want to mention something. I made a video about why I left the Legion. I talk about things such as friendly fire and some corruption and certain things like this that I wanted to be very transparent about regarding the Legion for those of you who may consider coming, which there's a lot of you. I get a lot of emails. But one of the top comments is this guy. He says, translation, actual war is scary and I had to bitch out. I mean, fair enough, bro. Didn't need 15 minutes to say that. So, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. If he considers what I did and what I do in Ukraine to be bitching out, that's his prerogative, right? But it has a handful of likes. So I thought maybe I didn't explain very well in my video why I left the Legion and some of the downfalls of the Legion. So as I was thinking that, I found this Willy video, and it explains basically it's an international legion soldier, a legionnaire. He's anonymous, but he tells some of the bad parts of the Legion. So I think this is really important to share, especially considering the content of my channel, right? I want people to know the good and the bad. And I am going to react to it in case there's some things that he says that I don't really believe or that I wasn't familiar with. Okay, let's check this out real quick. My name is Saxon. I went by Vegas in the International Legion. I joined the Legion in 2023, January. I'm still in Ukraine. I'm no longer in the Legion, though. And before I was a Legionnaire, I was a firefighter and an EMT outside of Fort Worth, Texas. So let's jump into this video and see what this Legionnaire has to say.
Brother, thank you so much for, I guess, speaking to me about all of this. And I really just want to talk to you about, I guess, your experience with being in the Foreign Legion.
This is a long video, so it's probably going to be like a three-parter. So, whatever, it'll be a series.
In Ukraine, and anything you can tell me about that?
Yeah, sure, no worries, but it's not gonna sound very good, to be honest. Even when I'm planning to come back, I literally had my nearly pre-last arrangements to go back on the front lines with a different team and so on. And yeah, but mainly it's really, really bad because I served in different militaries, different private sectors all over the globe, and that was sorry for my language, was really, really, really bad.
Yeah. In what way?
Okay, starting from the beginning, I fully understand when in the beginning it's third week of war when we nearly got deployed on the first combat deployment. It straight away was absolute chaos.
So he said third week of the war. So he was there very, very early on. The Legion must have just basically started, became a thing.
It was first was with Erpin next to the Kiev. Of course, they collected really highly experienced blokes like myself. Like some guys who come to the Foreign Legion, they spend a month training and then they go into the war, let's say war zones and stuff. But we had 2 nights to prepare, and we was heading then straight to the Kiev and straight to the Erpin.
Yeah.
They were really, really hiding information. You're constantly going into the blind, absolute blind. You go in, they send you, like I said, we went to the app and we straight away got smacked by artillery, direct sniper fire, and so on. We wasn't aware of where we're going, any maps, anything. It just, 34 blokes, foreign blokes. We get in the forest, we'll show you where to go, and good luck.
Right.
It was really poor organized. But like I said, I thought that was only the beginning because it was third week of war, and it's a big chaos. Kiev still have what they call 60 miles convoy coming in, to to assault Kiev and so on. But it continued and continued for, like I said, for another 2-3 months. It was still the same, different units, different places, different commanders was still the same. They will drop us off in the middle of nowhere. We don't know where is the friendlies, where is the enemies, what our proper objective and so on. It was just released. Yeah. Okay, guys, just just walk there 4 miles and then set an OP and like, yeah, okay. Any friendlies, anything, any intel? No, no, nothing. Just go. That's the order. Literally that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that was just to the foreign fighters, or do you think that was like through the Defence Force wide?
This defense wars. Like my partner, she's into sports. She's like really highly at sports in Ukraine. I don't want to mention the titles and so on, but she's higher up. And she knows loads of people who does martial arts and kind of she have really wide circle of people who does the sports, and especially martial artists. Most of them end up being in the front lines and stuff.
Yes.
And she knows many guys who've been fighting from 2014 from the first invasion. And she was saying, look, never changed. It always been the same. They always fought the same. They will send the blokes not knowing where they're going, what's their objective, or if they have any backup, like happened to a couple of my teams who got killed because they didn't had any backup when they requested just some cover fire from artillery. They didn't got any help. And in the end, they find out that the guys from the artillery didn't have any rounds for the last 2 days. Like, you sending your team into deep enemy territory, like 6 clicks, being surrounded by enemies, and you have nothing to back up your boys out if so.
So, first impressions of mine. There's nothing that he has said that strikes me as lying, right? I witnessed and saw a lot of the same situation. The communications are really spotty. Granted, while I was there, it did seem like they were better than what he's describing. The Ukrainian regiments had more of a direction. They had more objectives. They had strategic positions to capture, and they were communicating with each other. But there's definitely situations that I was there for, even, where everything is just chaos. There's no communications. Nobody knows where to go. There's people getting wounded. I mean, so far, it seems accurate.
Something happens in the area where already we had the combats and our guys died. Some famous names, who've been on television and so on. The guys died there, and you pushing again those guys back in, and it just doesn't make sense. So many ops look like you just totally, suicide. Like your friends who got in contact, both of us, he the same. He got sent out less than a day on an combat op, and the guys got killed and heavily injured and so on. It's like, wow, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And what sort of casualties are we talking about? Is it 2% or is it 50%? Like, how many guys are dying on these ops?
Depending on the op, depending on the area under whose command, but I don't know. It could be 5%. It could be the team, which is quite famous. The guys all over the news. One of them got POW. Andy, he got POW. I think if the whole team is only one guy survived and one is POW from 6-7 man team. Literally, our team refused to go into that. Go back to the same location where we got absolutely hammered. Other team said, we will go instead of you. And like I said,
another quick thought that I had. I don't want to discredit this Legionnaire that's doing this interview, because obviously his experience was very real for him, and I'm sure it's extremely accurate to his memory. So I don't want to disparage whoever this guy is by any means. I'm just here to also share my opinion as a Legionnaire in the same Foreign Legion. So he mentioned at the very beginning he had been in multiple teams, including different private sectors all over the globe. which is cool, which means he probably has a ton of experience, military experience. But one thing that I don't think you can have experience in is fighting another modern or more modern military and more modern gear than what you have, right? He comparing a security contract to a frontline battle with a superior fighting force is apples to oranges, in my opinion. So, yes, amazing experience and probably tons of skill sets that are applicable in this situation in the Ukraine conflict. But the forces that you're fighting, it's much different, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is a lot of private sector security forces. They're smaller teams. They're very well trained. They're really the big thing is they're much more trained, right? Their comms are going to be better. Their movement's going to be better. So I wanted to mention that again. Everything that he said is saying so far to me is to some degree is accurate. I saw this happening on the front myself.
Only one alive and one captured, and the rest of the guys are dead.
And how
And
often is that happening? Like, how often does a complete team just get eliminated?
In my case, that was only once, but the numbers is like ridiculous. The amount of the guys getting killed is just, I don't know. I just don't want to speculate any numbers
Yeah.
without being sure. I just can't tell how the management was running, how, like I said, they were sending us left and right, and then how my personal 3 firearms disappeared from the armory. It's like, wow, that's brilliant, guys. That's a really good job.
Yeah.
His personal 3 firearms disappeared from the armory. Theft is something that was, I don't want to say an issue, but it was very, it had been an issue before because there were some very strict policies about theft, especially when we were in our barracks back in training. People had all their personal gear, right? And it's just under their bunk or on top of their bunk. There were some very strict rules. And if you were caught with somebody else's gear, you would be immediately kicked out, obviously, but they'd probably beat your ass too. Not that that was like a part of the rules, like you'll get your ass beat, but all these Legionnaires don't like thieves for the most part, right? So they'll get you. But to have 3 personal weapons, for one, I don't know how he traveled with 3 personal weapons. That's interesting. We had a couple of guys that tried to travel from South America into Ukraine with like an MP7, and somebody else had a personal firearm, and they were jailed. They were straight up arrested and jailed for like a week until things were able to get squared away. So the fact that he brought 3, I'm curious how he was able to do that. Maybe since it was so early on in the conflict, I don't know.
Yeah, because my first AK disappeared from the armory with the pistol, and then my Bren disappeared, and after that I had Belgium Scar L. It's like, seriously, how the guns disappear from the armory? It's like loads of corruption.
Or he's saying these are weapons he was issued and they were being stolen, right? So they weren't his personal, like he brought them from wherever he was from. He was issued these weapons and people were stealing them.
Corruption, loads of really shady shit going on there.
Right. And can you tell me about some of the corruption that's happening?
Like, let's say the guy who was in charge of the armory, the guns was constantly disappearing from the small firearms to the bigger toys, anti-armored vehicle stuff, anti-aircraft, low-flying anti-aircraft stuff. Things were disappearing. The commander who was in charge was reported repeatedly to the special services who collected the statements from us multiple times, and they did nothing. Right. And it's like, how it's possible the guy steals so much kit, and we actually, he steals and nothing happens. Or the guys who sent so many teams to die into literally suicidal missions. So like, guys, that's straightforward death trap. It's like, even no-brainer. The guy with the minimal infantry skills, like you shouldn't go there. And most of us, most of us like highly experienced with 10, 20 years of military experience of, Middle East and so on. And they just don't want to listen. That's where you go, guys die, we don't report it. Look, that commandment just incompetent to command.
Yeah.
But they still get to command large numbers of people, and it's happening again, and again. And now the same commander who officially apologized for losing so many people in Irpin and Bucha, then he got the same into, I think it's Severodonetsk. Yeah, Severodonetsk. After that, now he's in charge in Zaporozhye again. He's losing people left and right. It's like, how the hell you keep those people in charge?
Yeah.
And it's not like, understand some ops, you go in, someone's died, someone's get injured, and you're like, yeah, that was bad luck. Well, we it was just fighting, simple as that. But some you go, you look, and it's like, not you asking to die. That's just literally stupid shit you want us to do.
Yes.
And that's the largest amount of my.
There was there were rumors of commanders like this, and I did personally see a couple of commanders who were corrupt. They were pocketing funds and money that were coming to our unit to pay for new vehicles for infill and exfil and transport, to pay for supplies, just food and water and stuff. And I saw commanders that would just pocket this money. So this is something that I also witnessed, and it's something I spoke about in a couple of my last videos. It's absolutely a thing. I also witnessed commanders get kicked completely out of the armed forces and taken to jail for doing this as well. So I did see some get caught, but I don't know, what the percentages are from when he was in at the very beginning and when I joined a year after that. If because they started taking these people to prison and locking them up, these corrupt commanders, the percentages have been less. Maybe it's more because they're getting more and more funding, or at least they were getting more and more funding from Western partners. I don't know. But again, I did witness this. Also, it's worth mentioning, somebody with 10, 20 years experience like this guy mentioned, in an actual military, I don't know what this accent is. Maybe he's from the UK, so it's probably a well-established, very disciplined Western-style military. I would imagine the Ukrainian armed forces would look like, a band of rebels in comparison. And this is something I've also mentioned in previous videos, but you see a lot of ex-US vets and ex-British vets that come to the Legion and they leave after the first couple of combat ops because it's so different from what they're used to. Right? And somebody like me who has had zero military experience, only firefighting and EMT experience, I would not necessarily know. I have nothing to compare it to. Right? So to me, I'm like, okay, this seems like a weird call, but whatever. I have nothing to compare it to. While this guy has been in the military for 10, 20 years, and he's like, this is just a straight up stupid call because I've done this and this and this mission in the past this same way and it didn't work out for me. Right? So this guy has clearly a much different perspective and just as valuable as a perspective. So I'm glad we're watching this. This is interesting.
My friends who died or got injured literally through those ops. It's only a couple of my mates who died. Like, well, that was a bad luck. Yeah. Simple as that.
Yes.
It just was.
Sorry, you're saying so most people are, I guess, needlessly dying due to incompetence.
Yeah. I don't know if it's incompetence. The thing is, it's some kind of culture, because like I said, it was exactly the same happening with the Ukrainian soldiers, and especially veterans who have like a highly skilled. No one wants to listen usually. Yes. It's not like we have a very very important man coming in one of the places where heavily fighting was happening, and he's from US, in regards of a heavy supplies of loads of equipment, from bullets to ammunition to the newest drones and night visions and so on and so on. And he was like asking the commanders, because I was translator that day, and he was asking commanders of those various teams, like a sniper team, and he said, why are you not fighting like in the guys fought in Middle East? You see the target, well, you sneak up, you see the target, you pop the target because they're usually the same locations, and you disappear and you repeat the same tactics. And the sniper team commanders answer was Ukrainians. They tell us how to conduct the operations, and that fighting to get independence from Ukrainian incapable so many commanders was constantly being suppressed. Like I said, I had 3 teams already being in.
I want to emphasize again, he made a comparison between the Middle East and sniper teams taking out targets in the Middle East. The Russians are not the Taliban or ISIS or a group of very low trained rebels. And of course, it depends on who you're fighting on the front in Ukraine, right? You could run into a group of conscripts who have one day of military experience, or you could run into an airborne unit, or at the time Wagner, because Wagner was fighting when he was there and when I was there. You can't compare a Wagner soldier or a well-trained Spetsnaz or airborne Russian soldier to a Taliban rebel, right? Just my opinion. But the point that he's trying to make, I still very much agree with, right? There's proven tactics that they've used in combat. Why are we not using these same tactics? I definitely agree with him.
3 different teams, a fourth one I refuse to go on the last.
And if somehow this guy ends up seeing this video, please shoot me an email, or if anybody knows who he is, shoot me an email. I'd love to talk with him, maybe even get him on an episode on our channel or something, because he's clearly extremely experienced.
Last combat all, because I said, guys, he's sending you to die. And most of the team were, let's say 80-70% guys never seen the combat here in Ukraine. I said, guys, I'm refusing to go. And guess what? You know who got injured? Another couple guys got injured. One got heavily injured, and one guy got killed in first 100 meters of the combat op, where because they didn't tell them what's going on. It's so much misinformation. Then I don't know. Like, Ukrainians have a joke, like SF guys. I remember even in Irpin in the first weeks, they said so many Ukrainian commanders who've been retired, they came back to run the operations and units. And it's like, guys, you fight old school and you don't want to learn the new ways, how you fight guerrilla warfare. Maybe some do. I'm not saying all. It's just my personal experience, what I came across. But yeah, they just don't want to listen. It's like, guys, we can do it smarter. Nah, that's the orders. But that's stupid. Guys will die. Well, you know, or you obey the order, or you get your contract cancelled, and that's it. There was no middle ground, and until this day I still hear the same stories. Guys just get sent, and that's how we want. And it's like, but that's literally stupid.
Yes, for sure. And you mentioned the corruption before of like weapons and things like that going missing. Are they being sold on, or are they just being stolen, or do you have any insight on that?
I don't know nothing for sure. I can only guess that it's to money, to gain money, because missing and law or Matador anti-low flying aircraft systems and so on, I can be sure they can cost serious money. Looks like there is for so many people now is war is, I don't know, not good but profitable time, and so many of them, now it's more and more projects going on in regards of finding, or the hardest way is to find the reliable sources where your donations and supplies and equipment can literally reach the right people. I know one of my colleagues, we fought together in Epin and Bucha, and he had a massive delivery from Czech Republic, hundreds of thousands pounds worth of magazines and so on. And he asked the local SBU team, and I said, look, it disappeared on when they entered the country, and I can't retract it. And they're like, oh, we don't know nothing about it, but we'll make investigation. And guess what? The same guy have another thousands worth of equipment, but he's now scared to send it. He's literally saying me, I will send it to you, and then you will distribute it where it need to be, because so many people just not relying on them because they know how it's corrupted. Lviv is now one of the most luxurious cities probably in the country, because most stuff goes there and disappears if it crosses the border, and so on. It's just pure corruption. Pure corruption. I thought they will pick up because it's a war against, if you lose this war, it's like it can't be worse. It's like the biggest price you can pay is lose the war. But people are still stealing left and right. Like my last pay haven't been paid, and we haven't got paid a single penny for our combat ops, and some guys who've been in combat ops haven't got even basic pay, and it's been like this from 2014 at least. For the Ukrainian soldiers, it's like, what's going on, guys? You get the money to pay the wages and so on.
Yeah.
And then nothing to. Yeah, I have nothing to compare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for
it. I can't, say much about anything that was happening all the way back in 2014. I know that some of us had issues with our wages early on. It was basically like we were back paid. We weren't getting, it would be like 3 months basically, or 2 months that we made nothing. Well, we were making money, but we weren't being paid. And then we started getting more regular paychecks. But sometimes we were told, payday's Friday. And then it'd be like, oh, no, actually, it's next Friday. Things would change for sure. But in his situation, he sounds like he never got paid for his stuff. Also, he says he cannot confirm in regards to the corruption. I definitely can confirm. I knew, like I said before, a couple of people, one in particular, who is still in jail for pocketing 20 grand worth of drone tech. So it's happening in the standard Ukrainian armed forces and the Legion. Shit, sorry.
Where do you think that money's going?
Well, the problem in Ukraine, most countries, they have a mafia to steal money, odd people to steal money, governments or whatever, let's say obtain more money. But for them, looks like the culture. It's from the bottom feeders, from the small commanders to the higher up. There is like President Zelensky. He knew about the attack, and he admitted it publicly that the attack. They knew about the attack of over a year ago, but then they wanted to save the economy. And then another thing, he wasted the shitloads of money on the roads instead of military programs. Like when he came into power, he stopped the rockets, anti loads of stuff got stopped, and looks like they're stealing from all levels, because that guy who we reported, who was in charge, commander of missing guns and so on, constantly from the armory, and not even armory. It looked like the local, let's say, secure intelligence teams were quite aware of it quite well, because he never got locked up. He always got away. It's like nothing never happened to him. It's like, how come? He'd been reported, guns are missing, its signatures and everything. It's like, you can't just hide that the gun disappeared in the books and everywhere, that gun being left in an armory. It's like some.
Again, I do believe that this has gotten quite a bit better here in Ukraine, just based off of my own experiences, and also some word from the guys who are currently on the front. They seem like they're, well, it goes back and forth because there's some guys that are like, yeah, we're finally getting the gear that we wanted. And then, it could be a couple months later, they're like, yeah, we're completely out of ammo. We've got 3 mags each. If we get stormed or assaulted, we're screwed. So I don't know how much of that is corruption or just failure to get the supplies from other Western countries, just running out of supplies in Ukraine. I don't know. That's a. And as far as Zelensky goes, getting into the Ukrainian politics and saying that Zelensky knew of an imminent invasion coming in 1 year, like he was for sure about it, and didn't take precautions to prevent or secure his land. It's a very bold statement, and I know nothing about it.
Obvious things. It looks like they steal on every level. That's it. It
Yeah.
just everyone tries to profit from it. Not everyone. Everyone who have the right contacts and let's say right attitude, maybe trying
Yeah.
to profit from it. That's the problem. If you read like SBU main chief being taken off of his duties, but they knew about his shady businesses ages ago until they did something too much, and that's when they start slamming on them. It's like, but guys, you knew about them being shady and taking the mines. I think that was the mines, the bridge or the roads and everything being mined from the seaside, and they took the mines just before the assault. And it's like, how come? And that was the secret agency's job, our secret agency's job. Why you take the mines and everything just before the assault? Just, I don't know. It's really bad. We came with our hearts, living good jobs, good lives, and everything. Really good lives, to help them out. People pouring from their own businesses and their own pockets insane amount of money, and we're risking our lives and everything, and they still do things like this. It's like, really frustrating.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. I bet they were.
I just realized we're like 30 minutes into this video, so we'll make this a part 1. I want to end it with this. I totally understand where he's coming from. Like I said, I'm not here to disprove or fact check this guy at all. Only to also share my experiences so you can compare and contrast, right? But I definitely understand what he's saying. People are coming from, great lives or just safer lives to come to Ukraine because they see something that's unjust and they want to help. And they feel like they're kind of getting screwed over by Ukraine, the Ukrainian government, and the Ukrainian armed forces. I get that. And there were times I felt like that as well. I think one thing is important to remember, that the International Legion was made out of necessity, and it was made very hastily, right? The International Legion popped up strictly because of this invasion in February 2022, Russia's invasion into Ukraine. It's not a legion that's been around for decades, like the French Foreign Legion, for example, that has very, very strict rules, guidelines, structure. So I can only hope that in years to come, the International Legion continues to be more and more structured. They continue to accept experience and advice from all of the outside foreigners. That I think that's really the strength of the Legion. You can get expertise from professional soldiers from the US and the UK and Asia. That's what can make the International Legion so special, in my opinion. But I think for that to happen, there needs to be ego and pride let go, drop down, drop the guard, and let these people help enhance the Legion, rather than saying, this is how we do it, this is how it'll always happen. When, like he mentioned, these tactics may have worked in the past, but it's a new style of warfare. We're in a whole new age, and if the enemy adapts to this change and Ukraine refuses to adapt to the change, that's a for sure loss of this war. So we'll leave it at that. This was part 1 of Willy's interview with this Ukrainian Foreign Legion Legionnaire. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for part 2. Love you. Stay safe.